the point made by both Commodore Arnab Das and Kaktikar are very valid. Perhaps it's a novel way of shifting attention away from contentious issues to something which need not be contentious. But then, as Kaktikar pointed out, will governments be able to make the quantum jump from conventional thinking to even translating their their way of thinking to the underwater domain? They keep getting bogged down in the conventional way of approaching. Most governments, as has been rightly pointed out, tend to be reactive in the way they function. They react to situations and emergencies, but they don't have the time or the energy or even the gumption to do anticipatory thinking, which actually has to be the basis of addressing any environmental or ecological issue. And this is where it's a fundamental, I would say, a deficiency in government thinkings across most of our region, certainly, but not just in our region, it is elsewhere. Now, unfortunately, in my practice and career, I have increasingly and with some despair noticed how diplomacy becomes, or foreign policy becomes a function of domestic political policies and politics, and how they spill across borders, and even where sanity and wisdom dictate that we should be cooperating, the turbulence within intrudes into the space where we can possibly get together and arrive at some point. I would like to share here, I mean, for Bangladesh, Brahmaputra is a very, very important river. The size of the population on the Brahmaputra basin is over 58% of our population. Okay. Around 10 million people in Bangladesh live on shores which are formed and broken by the river in its meandering course. And on the larger Ganges, Brahmaputra, Meghna basin, it supports around 630 million, and quite a large number of them are in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is, after all, the deltaic region. From the rivers, or start vanishing or behaving in erratic matters, then the delta itself faces existential problems. And that translates directly into the local politics. The local politics then tends to become extremely inward-looking rather than indulge in the luxury of looking at the larger picture. I learned a very important lesson. I mean, I've been involved with river water negotiations since the early stages of my career. And I was posted twice in India between 84 and 88 when I participated in some of the annual meetings of the Joint River Commission. And then in 96, I was able to take the two countries together on the path of resolving the Ganges water dispute. That treaty, unfortunately, will end. 30 years will be over this December. Then I don't know where we will go. We have 54 shared rivers. We have a treaty only on one, which is going to expire soon. So all these are points which, and the current situations, the domestic fulminations taking place across the region have been somewhat depressing to me personally, as I see the prospects of regional cooperation sort of recede to the background or the sidelines, and we will have to ride this storm out. I learned my most important lesson in management, not during the period I was in India, but after I left New Delhi and gone to Beijing in 1989. And month of my joining there, I was acting. I was as acting ambassador. I was conducting my Secretary Water Resources and a delegation to talk with the Chinese water side. And as a conversation starter, you engage in banalities before you start the serious discussion with notes and files. I asked the vice minister sitting opposite me, Excellency, how did you tame your river of sorrows? And he looked at me inscrutably and answered with a monosyllabic term, manpower. Our side was puzzled. My secretary said, can you ask him to explain what he means? You're asking about how you tame the river, but he's saying manpower. And the response was a moment of epiphany for me. He said, look, for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, we have been wasting time, energy, and resources on trying to tame a river which is essentially not tameable. We realize that a river is a force of nature, and every river has a personality of its own. And the only way you can hope to train it is to train the river from the headwaters to the mouth simultaneously. Because otherwise, we were building structures here and there, and the river would bypass it or just smash through it. And so we did exactly, when we realized that, we did exactly that. We have manpower. We poured our manpower along both sides of the river, and we trained it at the same time from the headwaters to the mouth. And that was when a light bulb started frantically, going on and off inside my brain. I said, okay, they could do this. The Chinese tamed this vast river because the entire configuration and course of the river is within China. We have divided our rivers along Westphalian borders. And in doing so, we claim sovereignty over the space of the river that is with us. But the river has no sovereignty. It doesn't follow Westphalian rules. We have to follow the river's rules. And that is where we have been stuck, and we continue to be stuck. When I was talking with friends across the table in the Indian side, I mentioned that, look, I wonder whether we'll be able to get to the point where we collaborate, because in your own constitution, you have subdivided the river into subnationalities, and you have not been able to solve problems between the southern states and several rivers. So how do you expect to change that mindset when across your borders into India or from across the borders from India to somewhere else? And this is a challenge which we are still trying to square the circle. So far, we have not gone anywhere near. Uh, I think the only way towards that is to try. So I became an ardent champion and a supporter of encouraging regional cooperation. At least if we cooperate in some sectors, we will get to the most challenging part in due course, because it will change the mindset with which we approach. And Anamika, who's a co-panelist here, a dear friend and a comrade in the trenches, we have been together trying to encourage cooperative discussion for collaboration on the Brahmaputra between Bangladesh, India, and China, and also including Bhutan. And this is something which we have been doing, at least I had been doing since 2008. And by 2018, for the first time, when we were all together in Shanghai, I thought I detected that we had come to a point where all three sides were very close to the same position. And then, unfortunately, domestic politics in one or two or more intervened, and there has been no discussion or continuation of the dialogue since then. So I think, in a sense, I find some logic to the proposal which is being put forward now by Comrade Das and Kaktikar in their presentations. trying to zero in on something which, perhaps because it is underwater and out of sight, is not a trigger to fueling mutual suspicion. In a sense, it lends to the sub. We are already exchanging data on a number of aspects of river water. Bangladesh and China started it, and soon after China and India also started it. So we have some common subsets. It's the parameters which are not, perhaps we need to enlarge that or identify additional parameters. I mean, sediment management is, of course, one of the primary things that we have to consider because of the sheer volume of sediments that this river brings down. I mean, the whole Bay of Bengal seabed has several miles layer thick of sediment at the base. You know, I mean, we don't know for a fact what sort of chemical reactions are going on between the different components of the sedimentation. We don't know, is there a correlation between that sediment and the dead zone that has emerged in the Bay of Bengal, which is perilously close to our waters and West Bengal Indian waters. And of course, reports are now coming out, and I've seen some in the last few weeks about this dead zone and fish depletion and other things happening. So this is an aspect of underwater radiated noise or underwater pollution, which needs to be explored. And of course, what is driving the fish population down? Is it poaching? Is it just fish stocks dying or depleting? Is it overfishing? All these are also aspects we need to look into. Bangladesh has not been able to explore beyond 10% of its maritime domain, simply because we are not geared to that, and our fishermen are more comfortable fishing in the shallow waters. They've still not ventured out. But the reports coming out say the fish stock in the deeper edges are also dwindling. So these are areas where perhaps discussions need to be resumed, even if there's a reluctance. We need to try and push them at least at technical levels, because I think it's necessary, even when the politics is out of sync, that an epistemic community of experts be found, because experts will share the same parameters and the same training and the same outlook. Perhaps they may be able to impress upon it. And I think also, I believe in perseverance and persistence. Look, I've been chasing this dream, which has been like a chimera for the last 30 years. I'm 82 now, I'm still chasing it. I'll continue doing it till I'm under the sword. But that's the only way. We need to have patience with each other, and we need to keep persevering with this. I feel that the Brahmaputra dialogue should resume, even if it's not track one. Let it do it once again from the beginning, from track 2, and take it to track 1.5. Because without this dialogue, we are not going to be able to address anything. And can you address all these problems in segments? This is the problem that I have intellectually. See, that lesson from China haunts me. Can I address this in segments? Because the river is a flowing body. What happens in one segment will affect the part of the body in the other segment. Fish will travel up, or fish will travel down, or fish will disappear. Okay. Uh, Bay of Bengal is a maritime peaceful dispute-free region. Is perhaps one of the few, or if not the only, water body of that magnitude which is free of dispute. And yet we have not been able to come to a governance system, despite stated efforts by BIMSTEC and others for governing the Bay of Bengal. If we could do that, we could apply that elsewhere. But let's try and get at least one river right. And my fears are that we are straying into territory where even the agreement we have on the other river is going to run out, and we don't know what the future is ahead. So I'll stop my comments here. Thank you very much.